Life or death on Everest, oxygen or nothing. At the British Association Centenary meeting in London in September, Professor J. Barcroft addressed Section on the limits placed by altitude to physical exercise, followed by a discussion in which Dr. Raymond Green, a member of the Comet Summit Party the previous year, and N.E. Odell from the 1924 Mount Everest Expedition contributed. Barcroft explained that Italian researchers had shown man could live at an atmospheric pressure of about 110 millimeters of breathing oxygen, but could do little or no work at that level. More recent work by Barcroft, Douglas, Kendall, and Margherita demonstrated that at 170 millimeter pressure with oxygen, a man could climb 1,000 feet in an hour in a step test, even though this was below Everest's summit pressure. This suggested that with oxygen supplied to the respiratory passages, climbing at the highest altitudes was not impossible, making Everest's challenge more of an engineering problem than a purely mountaineering one. Barcroft calculated that a climber ascending 5,000 feet in 5 hours would absorb 450 liters of oxygen, and assuming half that on descent, about 700 liters total, or 30 cubic feet, would be needed. He outlined the main problems: how to carry this volume, how to remove carbon dioxide if rebreathing, how to prevent freezing water vapor, and how to allow a safety margin. The oxygen itself weighed about a kilogram, but the cylinders for 30 cubic feet of compressed gas were heavy. Engineers experienced in respiration apparatus, such as diving engineers or chemical defense specialists, might solve the problem more efficiently than repeated Himalayan expeditions, which were costly and sometimes fatal. Dr. Green's contribution, later published in Nature on November 28, 1931, compared the oxygen and no-oxygen schools of thought. Both agreed oxygen was useful for unacclimatized climbers, and the oxygen school extended that to acclimatized ones. Green suggested that using oxygen from a low level could eliminate the need for acclimatization, allowing an alpine speed ascent. However, two problems arose: creating an apparatus to deliver oxygen without waste while eating and sleeping, and ensuring total reliability, since apparatus failure near Everest's summit could be fatal for an unacclimatized climber. Odell's own account recalled the second Everest expedition, the first to attempt the main summit above 23,000 feet. Finch and Jeffrey Bruce reached 27,200 feet using oxygen from 21,000 feet, while Mallory's party, without oxygen, reached 26,900 feet through acclimatization. The 1924 expedition carried improved apparatus with 3 light alloy cylinders holding 1,605 liters, 57 cubic feet, of oxygen, enough for 13 hours at 2 liters per minute. Initially weighing 33 lbs, the load was reduced to 22 lbs, after discarding one cylinder and modifying the set. Damage during the approach delayed repairs, and while this was underway, high camps were established and summit attempts without oxygen began. These efforts produced unprecedented acclimatization. Jeffrey Bruce, once reliant on oxygen, now felt no relief from it. Odell himself, at 26,000 feet, turned off his oxygen without feeling greater fatigue after living 11 days above 23,000 feet. Odell rejected the idea that lack of benefit was due to apparatus defects. All repaired units were gas-tight, and users had learned proper inhalation. Acclimatization to 27,000 feet had been proven and might be possible to Everest's 29,000-foot summit. Norton and Somerville's oxygen-free ascent above 28,000 feet had been slow, but both were already weakened by a recent rescue. Mallory and Irvine climbed with oxygen, but whether it helped is unknown, and Odell saw no evidence that apparatus failure caused their disappearance. The general conclusion, expressed in the Fight for Everest 1925, was that light apparatus for the final few hundred feet could be carried as an emergency measure, but acclimatization to about 27,000, 28,000 feet should be the goal. This would spare porter strength otherwise spent hauling oxygen. In 1925, a lighter 12L Bassett providing 15 cubic feet was tested in Snowdonia and judged sufficient for emergencies if acclimatization had been achieved. The editor added that Paul Bauer's 1931 Kangchenjunga expedition supported these conclusions. His team, extremely fit before departure, took 68 days to reach 26,000 feet from Camp 6 at 16,800 feet. The difficult climbing forced gradual acclimatization, and by 24,000, 25,000 feet, they could move 600 feet per hour in deep snow without oxygen. Oxygen's absence was not felt. Bauer was stopped by dangerous snow, not lack of air. However, even fully acclimatized, Bauer nearly collapsed from overstrain at Camp X, where small amounts of oxygen might have been life-saving. The lesson remained that acclimatization is possible to any height reached so far, cannot be rushed, and rush tactics should follow only after it is complete.